I think that's one of the things in the refugee experience that I always see is that when you're stripped of everything, the most important thing is love. And it's the love of the family, the people. And this love story that takes place in Egypt, Doaa falls in love with, she resists him for a long time, but finally he wins her over and convinces her that this is no life. I mean, they were living a grueling existence. She wasn't going to school, she was having to work. She had health problems. He was working in a coal factory, he was working in a barber shop. You know, and then they were getting Facebook posts from friends of theirs who were in Europe, you know, posing next to a bridge in Amsterdam saying, I'm going to this university, or, you know, on the streets of Munich. And it seemed like, in a way, not just a dream. It seemed like it could be a possible reality, that there could be a place that would not just be peaceful for them, where they could escape the war, but where they would be welcomed and where they could actually restart their lives. And unfortunately, the smugglers, who are notorious evil businessmen, who are exploiting those dreams of many young people, and telling them, and you know, advertising these safe and beautiful, almost like cruise boats, that will take you to Europe where you can start your new life. And Bassem kind of believed that and convinced Doaa to give up their life savings and put their lives in the hands of these smugglers and make their way across the Mediterranean.
And there we reach some of the most haunting pages in your novel. I must say, if you had tried to write a tragic novel, you would not have gotten anywhere close to where your history brings us. The movement with the smugglers, of course, is dramatic, and then what happens after at sea is also horrendous, and you dwell quite a long time on that. And one sense I had is that while they were in Syria, even if things were horrible, they were at least saying, we fight, we protest for something. But when you're in the hands of smuggler, you only have despair. There is nothing else that transpires from these whole 2 chapters in your book that tell about their attempt to reach Europe.
Yeah, you lost completely your control. They were, when they finally, you know, made it onto this boat, and Doaa has this mortal fear of the water. At age 6, she had this near drowning experience and vowed never to go near the water. She'd never learned to swim. So the love of Bassem was really strong that he convinced her. And you know, they end up on this boat. They didn't believe it was going to be a beautiful cruise ship, but they did not imagine in their wildest dreams it would be as decrepit and rusty and crowded as it was. There were 500 refugees on that boat, and 100 were children, and they were just crammed, shoulder to shoulder and feet to feet, and below. Luckily, they got a seat above deck, and they were four days on this water, and it was on this boat. It was nasty, the conditions, and people getting sick, and children crying, and you know, and really not being treated well. But you know, by the end of day 4, they felt like they were making progress. They asked the captain, how much longer until we reach Italy? And the captain said, 17 hours and you will be in Italy. And they all started singing, and there was a lot of solidarity on the boat. They were in the same boat. They were in the same boat, but they were going to a better place. And so they held out because they knew, you know, they just needed to suffer for a little while longer, and then their life would be better.
And then, of course, the boat is being rammed down by pirates, and the whole dream breaks within basically minutes. And then we have these really haunting scenes of how people drawn one by one, and those who survive, how they try to help each other, but with, you know, their strength going away. And she spends 4 days,
4 days
at sea.
4 days at sea.
Alone.
I mean, we'll never know why these evil men approached them in another boat, yelling, "Let the fish eat your flesh, let the fish eat your flesh," hurling rocks and pieces of wood at them, and intentionally ramming the side of Doaa and Bassem's boat, so that a hole sprung in the boat and it started sinking. And the people below deck were just immediately doomed. And Doaa and Bassem slide into the water, and she's, I mean, the scenes that she saw children being cut up in the propeller. And Bassem luckily found this child's floating ring, the kind that we have for our toddlers, you know, in swimming pools and in calm seas. And so she climbs on this floating ring, her arms and legs dangling over the side, and he treads water next to her. And initially there are only about 100 survivors. And by the second day, you know, more and more people are drowning.